What up, everybody? It's Chris Roscoe with Operation Moksha, and today I'm talking about OnlyFans and simp culture. Now, I didn't want to talk about this for the longest time because I had a feeling that no matter what I said, people would think that I was just going to be attacking all women that have an OnlyFans, and that's not what I'm interested in doing. I have no interest in attacking everybody with an OnlyFans. A lot of my friends have OnlyFans. And I think it's, in a lot of ways, it's really cool. Like, giving adult workers and adult performers the ability to be in charge of their financial freedom, I think is fucking amazing. And being able to support a content creator individually, I think is great and really good for the content creator. My only real gripe with it is that it's grown substantially. And so to me, I have to imagine that the amount of people that have gotten into it that don't really feel good about it and aren't really like that type of person, so to speak, is probably way higher than is good for a lot of people. Because it jumped from, in like a year and a half's time or something like that, maybe 2 years, it jumped from 30,000 content creation people to 700,000 content creation people. And I know there's some people out there in the world that can create that type of content and still feel really good about themselves and still have healthy relationships and feel comfortable telling everybody about the work that they do and still have good quality of life. I know there's people out there. But based on my experience of watching porn throughout my life, it seems to be really fucking minimal. Like, the amount of people that seem to actually genuinely feel good about the work that they do and sharing that with the world seems to be pretty fucking minimal. Compared to the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people that appear to do it just to make money and end up feeling really crappy about it, not really liking themselves and getting into drugs and coping mechanisms and all these sort of things just to deal with the fact that the way that they're making money kills their soul. So I know there's both type of people. I'm not going to tell you that making OnlyFans content immediately puts you into one category or the other. I know there's a gray area here. And if you're one of the people who genuinely feels really good about this sort of thing, then thank you. I love you. Your content's amazing. I'm fucking grateful for you. But if you're one of the people that's doing this just to get by and it's starting to give you a negative impact of your view of yourself and it's starting to impact your relationships and your mental health negatively, then I would just simply ask you to take a look at that. Because I'm not interested in telling you what you should or shouldn't do or telling you what's right or wrong or bad or good or anything like that. I'm a mental health resource. I'm here to ask you questions to determine whether or not you are as happy and healthy, as integrated as you possibly could be, or if there are things in your environment that are making you suffer more than you should. That's really all I'm interested in doing here. So I'm not going to condemn you, but I am going to ask questions. So that's all I really have to say about the content creation part, because I know a lot of people are going to see this and think that I'm just attacking OnlyFans people, and that's not at all my intention. I have some people that I love and care about that have OnlyFans, and I would never ask them to change, unless they found that they needed to. The thing I do want to talk about, though, is from the content consumption perspective of OnlyFans and this like simp culture that has really become really fucking prolific. Because again, we're talking about going from 30,000 OnlyFans content creators either a year and a half or two years ago, I don't remember the exact timeline, to 700,000 now. It seems to be completely taken over. Like, so many people I know have OnlyFans now, and more people keep signing up. And you know, again, there's plenty to say about the content creation side of it. I'm not going to get into that. I'm going to get into the content consumption side of it, because there's this thing called the simp that has started to become really, really, really common and almost like this huge element of our collective culture, at least for younger people, where it was always kind of there before, but there wasn't this huge rally cry around it, and there wasn't this huge conversation about it. And it's really, really fascinating and ultimately really, really sad. And so this video does, to me, seem worth making. Now, again, I want to draw a distinction between someone who enjoys content creation and wants to support a content creator versus a simp, right? Like, I have some models that I like to follow who make their own costumes and do their own lighting and do their own photo shoots and do all this really cool creative stuff. And I would consider supporting them because, you know, they make costumes that cost money. And I want to see more of those costumes. And I want to support people who are making art that I really, really enjoy. Like, right now, I only subscribe to a Patreon for this group. It's like this group of punks that do like philosophical and psychological breakdowns of anime series and heroes and villains and all that sort of stuff. I don't subscribe to any OnlyFans, but I'm not closed off to it, because if there was a really cool content creator that was making really dope content that opened up one, I would consider supporting them. So that's just what it looks like to support a content creator. That's fine. That's healthy. That's great. That's all this other thing. But a simp, however, is somebody who basically pays somebody that ultimately, let's be honest, doesn't really give a fuck about them to pretend that they give a fuck about them. And they're basically paying for this experience of having a virtual girlfriend. And maybe the person cares about them. Maybe there's a small subgroup of people that actually care about these people and are providing a therapeutic service. I'm sure that's possible too. I always said sex work should be legal because it does have therapeutic capabilities, and that I want people to be able to lean into those therapeutic capabilities. But it also has immense demoralizing capabilities, and that's what I want to talk about today. Now, the demoralizing capabilities of it come from dudes who don't really feel very good about themselves, especially don't feel good about themselves in relationship to women, especially beautiful women that they feel a strong connection to, or a strong attraction to. Basically, what this OnlyFans thing does is it allows them to bypass all of the things that would turn them into a healthy, well-adapted person who can maintain a healthy relationship. Because a lot of what goes into being able to attract and maintain a relationship with someone that you're attracted to is the ability to identify and articulate your needs and desires in the face of potential rejection. That is a huge part of what it takes to be a man, in my own personal opinion, is you have to be able to get rejected. If you can't handle rejection, then you can't really embody the hero archetype if you're afraid of rejection. The hero archetype is largely based around the ability to go and face pain and face rejection and face all the harsh, terrible things that the world has to offer, like the mythological dragon. If you can't slay the mythological dragon, then you don't get the mythological princess at the end. And so that mythological metaphor is basically saying that there are things like death and pain and rejection and abandonment and all these things that you must face. But if you face them, you get the treasure, you get the beautiful damsel, you get whatever it is on the other side. It's a metaphor. And this cuts all that out. You know, there's no dragon to slay. All there is money to pay. And that does something to your mind. Because it can create this really weird kind of dependency. Where what happens is, because I used to notice this because I used to like strip clubs. I would go to strip clubs and I would use it intentionally to be like, okay, so this is what it feels like to receive this type of energy from a beautiful woman. She obviously doesn't mean it. She's obviously acting, but this is what it feels like. And I would remember that feeling and I would encode that feeling and I would like commit it to muscle memory so that I can conjure that feeling whenever I wanted. And then I integrated that feeling and I ultimately decided to live from there so that I could feel the way that experience made me feel as a part of my everyday waking life. It's a bizarre practice that I think I'm the only person I've ever known who's ever done it, but it works. And there's a way you can get that, you can pay for that type of energy that can make you stronger, and there's a way you can pay for that type of energy that can make you immensely weaker. Because the thing about it is, I used that feeling to kind of bolster me up and be like, all right, I can self-generate this feeling. So that if I go talk to this person and she rejects me and she's not into me, I'll use that as an opportunity to conjure this feeling that I felt before, that I paid for, in the face of my feelings around rejection and abandonment and all these sorts of things. Like, can I still feel desirable? Can I still feel good? Can I still feel worthy of love? Can I still feel all these things even when I'm being rejected? That is, in my opinion, one of the things that really makes a hero, at least in this context, is can I still see my value? Can I still see my love, myself, while still opening my heart to the fact that I was just rejected and the fact that I'm going to have thoughts and feelings about that? Like, that will make you a heroic individual. And what OnlyFans does is it bypasses all that. Because it's like, you're going to get the recognition. You're going to get the sexy pictures even. You might get some text. You might get like this virtual girlfriend experience where she's pretending to like you. Like, she wants you to keep paying. And so she's never going to say anything that is going to make you feel rejected or hurt or abandoned. She's going to do all the legwork of keeping the conversation going. She's going to make you feel wanted. She's going to make you do all these sorts of things. Which, again, you could use the way that makes you feel to embed that feeling into your being so you can take it with you and own it. Because being able to have those things generated by an outside source can really help to give you an idea of what it feels like. It can give you the blueprint to work with. But then once you have that blueprint, it's a choice between whether or not to integrate it or turn it into an addiction. And what OnlyFans does is it allows people to turn it into an addiction. Because eventually you're going to not want to go do all the difficult things anymore. Like this already gives you a bypass where you don't have to go face rejection. You don't have to go face scorn. You don't have to face all these sort of things. All you have to do is pay, and she's going to do all the legwork. She's going to make you feel interested in and cared about and all these sorts of things. And all you have to do is give money. And so you keep giving money, and you're getting further and further and further away from the parts of you that you need to face in order to become the hero of your own story and talk to someone you're actually interested in and create a meaningful relationship. That you're going to keep getting further and further away from that and keep getting deeper and deeper into this hole of paying for recognition from somebody who honestly probably barely even knows you exist. If she does, she probably only knows your screen name and maybe knows your name just as like a way to make you feel welcome. Like, let's be fucking honest. It's just a hustle. It's just a hustle. And which is fine, you know, it does, again, that's not a moralistic thing, but it is a hustle. Like, you have to know you're being hustled. And if you don't know you're being hustled, then you're really just screwing yourself. And you're doing it for very, very, very little reward, you know? And so the thing that I would say to you is, if you're stuck in this type of dynamic where you're paying a lot of money, maybe you're buying all the things on her wish list, and maybe you're like one of her top donators and you're getting shout outs all the time, and she knows your name maybe, and maybe even asks you personal stuff about your life. I don't know. Is that enough for you? Does that actually keep you warm at night? Or is there something else that you secretly want more? And is there some part of you that you're afraid of facing? I'd be willing to bet yes. I'd be willing to bet, because I've done this before. I'm not going to act like I've never done this. I haven't really spent any money on it, but it's really easy to see this beautiful woman who's like presenting herself online and all these sorts of things, and like through social media, it can make you feel like you have access to that person, and maybe even they respond to you once. It gives you this fucking dopamine hit. It makes you feel like, oh my God, this fucking woman with so beautiful and all these like touched up pictures or whatever, and all these fans and all these followers has paid attention to me. You get the dopamine, you get all the good feelings, you get all the things, and it gives you even this like small sense of almost meaning, like it gives you value for a quick second. But all of that whole thing exists in the void of an inherent sense of value and an inherent sense of meaning, an inherent sense of worth. Those are all substitutes for things that you could get in a more robust fashion. Like, that's the thing about all these things, is that they're just substitutes for internal experiences, right? Like the validation and the acceptance and the joy and the worth and the value that you feel when a beautiful woman, even one that you're paying, acknowledges you on an individual level. Those are all feelings you can self-source. You don't have to pay for them. You can self-source them. You can, once you figure out what they feel like once, they're yours. This is what I try to teach my clients, is that if you can remember a time when you felt a pleasant thing, that memory, if you can feel it, that's you conjuring that feeling up. That's you showing yourself that you can make yourself feel that way anytime you want. And that's a skill that you can embed and encode and integrate deeper and deeper and deeper as time goes by. And that's what I recommend everybody doing. So if you keep getting hits of this thing that you think you can't get elsewhere, like, let me fucking tell you, you can get it elsewhere, and you can get it internally. You can get it sustainably, and it is just as good. And not only is it just as good, it's better, because there's this thing that happens. It's this really interesting game where this is where the addiction comes from. It's like you have to put more money into this thing in order to get the reward out. And you have to like put more and more effort and maybe do more and more weird things and maybe demoralize yourself more and more and more in order to get this little scrap of affection or scrap of recognition. But the thing about it is, if you find the part of you that really wants that recognition and you validate it and you recognize it and you try and figure out what it really needs from you and what need it's attempting to get met by doing this ultimately destructive behavior, and you meet that need long term, not only will your desire to degrade yourself and give away all of your resources for a scrap of recognition, for a scrap of care, not only will that go away, but it'll be replaced with something entirely different. Well, you will never want to do anything like that ever again. Again, you may want to support a content creator. There's nothing wrong with that. But as far as lowering yourself for a scrap, you just simply will not do that anymore. You'll start to realize that you're inherently worthy of value, and you're inherently worthy of all the things that you were paying for, and then you can get them for free. And so you start looking for them in the real world, and that's when your life really starts to open up. And that's what I really want for you. And if you want help with that, let me know. Reach out. I'd be happy to help you figure that out. But ultimately, the main point that I'm saying here is if you're a content creator, again, not really talking about you all that much. If you feel good about yourself and you like the work that you're doing and you feel good about telling people about it and it doesn't get in the way of your relationships, more fucking power to you. I'm genuinely grateful that you exist because I've probably enjoyed your content or someone's content like yours, and it's probably made my life a little bit better, or at least made me happy for a short amount of time. Whereas if you're one of these people that doesn't really feel good about it, highly recommend you look into why that is. And either you find that you need to be doing something else that doesn't kill your soul, or you need to be doing it in a different way so that you can feel good about yourself. Either way, don't care. But the main thing for me is in this video is the content consumption part of it. Are you enjoying content? Are you really only attempting to support a content creator, or are you basically buying a virtual girlfriend? Are you taking the easy way out? Are you avoiding your shadow? Are you avoiding everything that would allow you to become the true, genuine hero archetype of your own story and go and slay the dragon and find your treasure and find your princess, find whatever it may be, and know that it is a capacity to attract those things and maintain those things. That is something that is deeply embedded inside of you, not something that you have to pay for. That's what I want for you. So if you want help with that, let me know. And I think this is really all I wanted to say about it. So if you have any questions about it, let me know. Hopefully this doesn't get too many people mad at me. But I love you, and I'll see you next time.